So happy to have you here on the broadcast. Happy to be with you. I mean, this is a unique game. It's a fun game because the thing is that on paper, this is Stanford's first ever game in the ACC as an ACC team. This will go down in history. The Block S and the Block Orange S and the Block Red S, as Fran Brown, the head coach of Syracuse, called it, the Battle of the Block S. So we know that this is going to make history as the first ever ACC game for Stanford, but it's also a little bit of homecoming for you as you played quarterback under Doug Marrone at Syracuse inside of that dome. So, what are your thoughts on the fact that history for Stanford is also personal for Corey Edsall?
That's pretty cool. Always being a part of something that's different, something that's new, is really cool. But we treat every game kind of the same, even though this is the first ACC game in Stanford history. We're just treating it as the next game because that's the most important one. And for me, it's really cool. You never know when you're going to have the opportunities to come back, if you ever get them to come back and coach somewhere that you played and everything like that. And I've been back twice since I played, once at Maryland in 2014 and once at UConn in 2018. Not thinking when I came out to Stanford, I'd have the opportunity to come back and be at a conference game at that. So it's pretty cool.
And when you came back to Syracuse after your time at Syracuse as a student athlete, when you came back in connection with Maryland and the Terps, and then came back with UConn and the Huskies, bring me into those moments. Were they surreal for you? How did you experience them? Just what it was like to come back and to see that, because I mean, those are Northeast schools. It makes more sense that we would see that. I mean, you alluded to the fact that going out to the West Coast, you didn't think that you would maybe ever be in Syracuse again, let alone for a conference game. But with Maryland and with UConn, just what those experiences were like, as those were the last two before this one.
Yeah, the Maryland experience was definitely the most unique because a lot of the guys that I came in with at Syracuse were still playing. So it was definitely a very different experience for me seeing those guys after the game
Yeah.
and everything like that. And then coming back um, when I was at UConn in 2018, all those guys had moved on. I really hadn't, there wasn't really anyone in the program that I really still knew that was there under Coach Babers, outside of Coach Hicks and Jimmy in the equipment room. Um, so, yeah, I mean, both of them were very unique, and it's going to be even cooler for this one because just I never thought I'd probably get back into the Carrier Dome coaching in a game. So this is pretty cool for me.
Yeah, and like you said, when you came back, there were still guys there that you had played with originally when you were coming back with Maryland. So that gives you an experience that Justin Lamson is going to have. The fact that he was at Syracuse a couple of years ago as a backup quarterback, had hopes that he was going to get himself on the field, maybe earn the right to be the starter, went down with an injury that took him out for the year. And so, I mean, have you spoken with him about this, about the fact of like, hey man, like I've literally been there. I played quarterback there. You played quarterback there. I practiced there. You practiced there. I was in the dome there. You were in the dome there. I went back and saw people I played with. You're going to go back and see people you played with. I mean, this story of Justin Lamson, in my opinion, is very attached to your story as well. Have you talked with him about it?
Yeah, we have. We talk about it all the time. Last year, when he first got here, we talked about both our times at Syracuse, coming out here, and obviously he's from out here, so it's a little bit different in that sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, we've talked about it this week, and we're both looking forward to going back there and being back in the dome. He played in the dome when it was renovated. I haven't seen it since it's been renovated and all the bells and whistles it's got now. So I'm excited from that standpoint. But yeah, I mean, once the game kicks off, it's the game. So, but yeah, we've talked about going back, and I'm excited. I know he's excited to get back there and see people and be back in the dome.
Let me throw this at you, Corey, because you'll appreciate this. Like you said, you haven't seen the renovations yet. I got to see him in I said the dome is only open twice. It opened in December of 2020 and opened December of 1980 and September of 2020. I was in the second opening of the dome. There was no fans. It was teams, staff, and media. And there was 20 to 30 of us, and I thank God and thanks to Syracuse University for being one of the few people that was allowed into the dome when the dome was closed to the public. So I got to experience the lights and I got to experience the video boards and the sound and the changes that have been made. Now there's seats there. People aren't just sitting on metal that makes your butt fall asleep and makes you really super uncomfortable. But here's the crazy thing. When it was called the Carrier Dome, there was no air conditioning. Now there's air
That's right.
conditioning. Now it's called the JMA Wireless Dome, and the internet still sucks. So I feel like you can. I'm gonna paint that picture for you and let you appreciate that. Whatever the dome is called, that thing doesn't work, and that hasn't changed for you, Corey. So you can have some fun with that.
Yeah, I'm gonna miss like the air docks walking into the dome where you had to have certain doors open, certain doors shut. But no, I mean it looks like they did an unbelievable job, and it's always been a home field advantage there. And it's interesting you say that because I did see this week that Friday is going to be 44 years to the day that the dome opened for football, and it was pretty cool because my dad was obviously on the coaching staff back in 1980, and he's going to be at the game obviously on Friday night, so it's going to be kind of cool. 44 years apart, I'm coaching in a game that he was coaching in when the place first opened 44 years ago.
And you said that Dad's gonna be there.
Yeah, he
So
is.
Randy's coming out to the game. How did you get him to stop golfing in down in Florida to come out to this game?
Well, he's actually going to be golfing in Rochester this weekend, so we just had to tie a golf trip in there somehow. But yeah, no, he's gonna because I have my mom's side of the family all lives in Rochester, so and obviously my mom went to Syracuse and played there, so it's going to be kind of a little bit of a homecoming for them coming back and seeing some old friends and then going to the game Friday night. Obviously, they're going to be rooting for Stanford this time around, but this will be the only game that they don't root for Syracuse.
Yeah, no, it's special. I mean, it's funny how it's all too poetic. Sports is all too poetic, and so I mean, you and I have talked about your story. We've talked about your journey in the past, and you've been so generous with your time as well as your father, Randy, who I've had so much fun with. I'll never forget that the first time that I got to speak with your dad before. I mean, outside. I mean, we had spoken so many times interview wise. But when I got to actually talk to him man to man and like tell him how much I appreciate him and try to build that personal relationship, I will never forget. We were in Newport, Rhode Island. We were at the clam bake thing that they used to do out there with the lobster tails and the clam and all that stuff. And and this will stay with me forever. I walked up to your dad, Randy Edsall, and he was wearing a Hawaiian shirt. And I will never forget that Hawaiian shirt. And I was like, hey, I don't mean to interrupt. I just want to let you know, Coach, that, I've really appreciated you from afar and appreciate the work that he's done. And him and I have built a friendship since then. But he is so awesome. And I'm trying to get him back into coaching, but he likes being retired. So have
No
you
chance of
tried? Have,
that.
have you tried to like say, like, listen, Dad, like you're good at this thing. So
No, there is zero chance of that. He loves playing golf too much now, and him and my mom have their own routine going, and they travel a lot. So, and he's really happy. So, there is zero chance of that happening. And I'm just glad that they're enjoying this chapter, and with all the hard work that he's put in, and everything like that, and the sacrifices they both made to enjoy it now is really cool to see.
well, he's smart because he saw the change coming over the horizon and he went, yeah, don't need to don't need to frustrate myself with that. So
Exactly.
you're in this world, you're paving your own way, you're making your own story, and as much as we talk about the Edsall name, you're building your own. And I respect that, and I want to respect that very much so because I know you're working your tail off. Offensive quality control analyst. What does that mean? What is you and I have talked a little bit about it, but at Stanford, head coach Troy Taylor, he looks to Corey Edsall to do what?
Yeah, so obviously things kind of changed this offseason with us being allowed to coach on the field now. Previously, we weren't allowed to uh, per NCAA rules. So um, before it was kind of more of a doing all the stuff in terms of film breakdown, scout cards, kind of the organizational stuff because we weren't allowed to coach on the field. Now we're allowed to, so it's kind of the same stuff we had been doing, but I'm assisting with the tight ends with our tight end coach Nate Bynum, who does a phenomenal job. And so I'm in that room, I'm in the meetings, I'm out on the field with them, and so now we're able to coach. So there's no restrictions, so we're essentially like assistant coaches in terms of like being able to do everything like that. And then on game day, kind of the same thing, being able to help relay information. And a lot of that's changed now since we have tablets and
Yeah.
everyone can be on the headset. So this year has been the first year where everything's been wide open. So it's been a little bit different.
Yeah, I mean, and how have you adjusted to that? I mean, I can imagine that you're grateful the fact that you have the
For sure.
opportunity to now coach on the field and be a part of that, and like you said, working specifically in the tight end room. So this change that has been made that allows you to be there on game day on the field coaching, just what that's done to allow you to be more of yourself, to be more of a teacher. How has that been a positive for you?
Yeah, because when you're a position coach previously at another school, you that's what you do this for. You want to have your own room, you want to coach on the field and impact guys that way. So taking a step back the last 2 years previously, not being able to really do as much, was a good learning experience because you kind of do more observing and you learn more that way in that sense. But this year has given me the opportunity to get back out there, kind of get that scratch that itch again. Like, okay, now I can coach on the field, I can help, I can do different things. So um, it's been a lot more fun being able to do that this year instead of just standing on the sideline just watching.
Yeah, and I'm sure that opportunity is something that like we talked about is a blessing here. And you and I spoke after I got to talk with head coach Troy Taylor for the first time ever. My ACC coverage spanning the country and getting to speak with him and have him be a part of my ACC previews, which I thank Stanford for. And the staff's been great. People have been great in getting information to me. There's a ton of things coming out. I mean, you're my first Stanford conversation that's airing this week in game week. And then tomorrow we have an onslaught of conversations that are going to be coming out to people. So, Troy Taylor, you and I talked off the air. It was one of the greatest text messages. And to you, it might just be a simple thing. But to me, 20 years of doing this, almost 21 years, when you get a nice compliment, I try to sit with it for a second and I try to hold on to it instead of just because I'm used to I kind of live in the world of a coach. Is like I do something and I'm like, okay, that worked, or I got to adjust that, and then I go on to the next thing, and then I go on to the next thing, and you keep going. But you sent me a message and you were like, hey, just want to let you know that Troy really enjoyed himself on the show. And I was like, what? I was like, he said something to you? He was like, yeah, he came out to practice, said he had a really good time. That message, I want to let you know, meant the world to me because I'm always trying to build relationships, as you know. I'm not just trying to
Mhm.
interview people. And as people have said to me, your interviews are not interviews because interviews are like question, 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 bounce, 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 like interrogate, where you're more of a conversational guy. And it sounds like you're just having fun sitting on a couch with someone. So I want to tell you first and foremost, thank you for that message because it caused me to pause and to be grateful. So thank you for that. Secondly, to that, who is Troy Taylor day in and day out? Because I had a good time speaking with him. I really enjoyed the fact that I feel like he is coaching right now strictly because he loves it. Like the money, the prestige, the power, like all that. He sounded like he's like if I'm coach. It sounded like he could be coaching pee wee, high school, college, or pro, and he's like, dude, I love being here. I love doing this. I love being with the kids. And until I'm done, I'm not done. Like I'm gonna try and make an impact. So my first impression of Troy Taylor is he just downright loves the game and he loves the opportunity that he's been given and the opportunities before Stanford. I'd love to get your take on him because you're with him every day.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. He's first and foremost a great guy, a great father, and a great guy to work for. He allows us to have a life outside of football, which is nice. Not there's a lot in this day and age in college football. You're working 24/7. You don't have much time to breathe. And the thing I'm most grateful for from him is we get that opportunity to breathe every once in a while and get to experience just time off when we have it. But he's a football guy first and foremost, and he's obviously a brilliant offensive mind. But um, he loves the football part of it, game planning and all that kind of stuff. Um, but he's very organized. He runs a great program, and he doesn't lower expectations. He's always pushing everyone, coaches, players, to be the very best versions of themselves. And I'm very lucky to work for a guy like that.
Yeah, he just seems like a wholesome guy. You know,
He
he,
is.
he he seems like he's just one of those people that like hasn't lost himself in the game. And to see a coach who's coached as many years as he has, what does that do to you, and how does that impact you, Corey, to be around someone who hasn't lost who they are?
I mean, it's really good to see, and I've been fortunate my whole career, whether it was working for my father or guys like Mike McIntyre, and then obviously Coach Taylor now. They share that same characteristic. They're the same person every day, and the stage or the job hasn't really changed who they are or how they operate. Um, so just seeing that day in and day out makes me want to do the same thing as I keep growing in this industry.
Yeah, it's huge. Well, before I let you go, because I know you got to get hopping here, Corey, I do want to get into, like you said, you're working specifically with the tight ends, doing things with them on game day. What can you say about two pieces here? The quarterback room with Ashton Daniels, because my conversation with him is going to be coming up tomorrow, and I implore people to come back to Wake Up Call worldwide, including in the state of California, and listen to it because he seems like a fantastic kid. So you got Ashton, you got a bunch of guys that are there in the quarterback room. They're throwing to the tight ends, obviously. So what can you say about Ashton as your starter, and then the tight ends that you get to specifically be in the room with? What can you say about the aspect that they bring to the offense at Stanford?
Yeah, so starting with Ash, Ash is first. He's an unbelievable kid, as I'm sure you found out when you interviewed him. He's a great person first and foremost, but he's really a guy that throws the ball really well and can really hurt you with his feet. He's a true dual threat guy.
Yeah.
Um, so he really puts the puts pressure on defense, having to be able to stop both. He's really good at creating things when they're not there, or if things break down, getting out using his legs, and obviously he's got a really strong arm and good accuracy. So from that standpoint, he's a total package. And then obviously you got Justin who comes in and does a good job for us as well. Um, but and the other thing Ash does really well is, as well as Justin, they lead the offense really well, and the guys look up to them and play hard for them. And then in the tight end room, Sam Roush, who's been here for 3 years and played a lot as a true freshman, played a lot last year, started half the year. He is what you're looking for at a tight end in terms of his size, his athleticism. But he's a really good blocker. He's good in the pass game. He caught a touchdown this past game, got his first one finally. But he's a total package. And then Benji Blackburn, a true freshman who's been super impressive from that standpoint. He's he's been for a true freshman to do what he's doing and learning everything. Again, he's going to be one of those guys. As long as the more time he gets on the field, the more time um, in the weight room and everything like that, he's just going to keep coming along. And like I said, this has been proclaimed tight end you for some time here. Um, with all the guys that we've had, like Zach Ertz and everyone like that. So those guys definitely carry on that tradition really well.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm definitely looking forward to this. I'll make my way out to the dome early, and hopefully, you and I can at least shake hands and see each other face to face before this thing gets hopping. The battle for the Block S is this Friday night, September 20th, in the dome. Corey Edsall returning to the dome. Justin Lamson returning to the dome. 7:30 p.m. kickoff in the dome. We look forward to seeing y'all there, and a safe travels to you at Stanford as always. So Corey, thank you for your time. Thank you for getting up and doing this with me. And I know you got a lot of things to get to today and a lot of preparation to be had, but you always find time for me. So I want to tell you I appreciate that. And I really do look forward to shaking your hand because I got a lot of respect for you. And I look forward to being able to see you in person. So hopefully we can have a couple minutes with that before the game kicks off.
Definitely. Sounds good. Appreciate you, Dan.
All right, man. Be well and have a good day.
All right, you too.
Take care.